Hi, I'm Jason Bryant from the Short-Time Wrestling Podcast and founder of the Mat Talk Podcast Network. Shows on the network are individually owned and operated, and those opinions presented and expressed may not reflect others, the sponsors, patrons, or the parent network. Find more shows about the greatest sport in the world at the Mat Talk Podcast Network at mattalkonline.com.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pack Wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
NC State Wrestling fans, we're back with a brand new episode of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, number 81 for those tracking it at home. And finally tracked him down, finally going to get a recap to the season. Got him in a different office, so he's a little uncomfortable. Head coach Pat Popolizio.
Brian, hope you had a good vacation. Haven't seen you in 3 weeks. Glad you're doing well and back at it.
Pat, I thought it was great. We landed out off of that charter from St. Louis, said our goodbyes, and I haven't been able to track you down since.
Yeah, I know. Well, when you travel like you do to all those beautiful places and resorts you go to, it's hard to do.
So busy times. I know you went down to Texas for the Olympic team trials. The last 2 weeks, though, kind of what's been going on with NC State Wrestling? Yeah,
we were, like you said, got back to Raleigh. Guys were getting ready for the trials, so we jumped right back into it. It just seemed like it's been an action-packed year, floating from one weekend to the next. I think we lost track of time where we were at, going from ACCs to NCAAs to the World Team trial, our Olympic trial. So yeah, it's been a busy month.
We're wrapping up school here. Actually, another freestyle event is upcoming, U.S. Senior Nationals. Guys, have any plans for that? I think it's the first weekend in May.
Yeah, I think right now I looked. Right now we got about 10 guys going, 6 for the juniors and 4 for the seniors. So it seems like we're going to have a rerun of the Open again.
Okay. Did it help your freshman class not being able to do anything last summer in regards to those type of events?
Well, I think obviously the more time you get with athletes, the more you can prepare them for things. So everyone was either at an advantage or disadvantage. But yeah, we didn't get to really have those guys here in the summertime work on some things. So now we've been able to implement a lot of different stuff we're working on, and we'll get guys ready. I think it's good for them to change up a little bit of the style of wrestling we're doing, focusing on a little freestyle, a little Greco, folk style. We're hitting all 3 styles right now, and guys have been real busy in the room. It's been great to have guys in there in the morning, and then some guys coming back up doing RTC workouts on their own, and I think that's how they make the jumps they're looking to do for next year.
You kind of mentioned change of styles. What went on last year, you guys really not being able to traditional summer? Anything going to change for you guys this summer? Are you going to kind of go back 2 years ago? What did you learn, I guess, from last year that you can implement this summer?
I think obviously guys have goals in making a world and Olympic team. So, we're focused in on those guys that want to compete in the off season. But as far as a college standpoint, getting guys better what they can use for next year. We're seeing a lot right now after going through the Olympic trial stuff that we can really implement into our college scene. And we're wrestling a lot of Greco in the room right now too. It's interesting and fun to watch. Getting guys better in certain positions, and then implementing our offense that what we're looking for. So, everyone's on a different plan. I think that's where we're at right now is we got a lot of moving components. We got a lot of really good guys here in the program. We got a lot of older guys coming back. We got our RTC guys. It's mapping out, putting the right people in play for certain guys right now.
Lots of different. You're going to have 10 new guys, too. We're going to talk about recruiting, I'm sure, at some point. But brings up a good point. I know it's still up in the air. They're talking maybe June 1st recruiting might change. You guys get back on the road. Do you have any kind of feeling of what recruiting is going to be like this summer?
I would imagine it's going to be pretty busy with the kids that haven't been able to come in on visits. I don't know if it's going to be overwhelming or not, but I know we've done a lot of legwork on the kids that we feel really comfortable with. And I look forward to having the chance to bring those guys here to campus, spend some time with them, show them around Raleigh, and obviously they know a lot about our program to begin with and what we're about. But to actually just see them in person and spend time would be really nice, because we spend a lot of time on the phone talking to these guys, and we've built up really good relationships with them. But now it's time to hit some of the better restaurants in Raleigh and show them the good spots here and enjoy the weather. And I don't know, it would be nice to walk kids around campus again. It's been over a year.
And the pollen's gone, so that's got to be fantastic.
Yeah, no, that is true.
A little disappointed. We're about, 5 minutes into this episode. I texted you yesterday, no reply. I'm not sure what's going on.
Let me go look at this phone real quick.
The Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, breaking news here. The number 14 podcast in all of Japan.
Yeah, well, that's probably wise. I don't understand what that actually means. You're gonna have to break that down for myself.
Here's the thing: you don't have to understand. Just notice that there's a 14 ranking in front of the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast.
Is that because of your WWE?
We're actually beating a lot of WWE podcasts, so that's great.
Really?
But konnichiwa to all of our Japanese fans.
Oh, wow. You pulled that one out. Can you say that again?
Actually, my wife wanted me to say more Japanese. I didn't have the guts to try it there.
Oh, my gosh.
But,
that's great.
So thank you to all of our Japanese fans. Now, American fans, come on. Get the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast rated a little bit higher. But
well, that was a good one.
All right, I don't know what. Have you ever been to Japan?
No, I was hoping this year, but
maybe if there's a budget, they'll send this podcast over there. What about a live show in Japan?
That'd be a good one.
We wouldn't be able to walk the streets. We're the number 14 podcast in all of Japan.
Yep,
that's fantastic. All right, what else we got to talk about here? Let's just go back to the original NCAA Championships. 6th place finish. Now, it was kind of interesting. It was your second best finish in school history. Tied the school record for All-Americans, but I got the sense when we were leaving, I don't know if disappointment's the word, but, you felt like there was some left on the tail. Everybody did. Everybody was honestly probably a little disappointed. What would you say? Because it was a 6th place finish, which is another top 10 show in here.
Definitely. I think you look at the growth of our program and the success we've had as a team and individuals, we're at that level. Guys want to leave winning a national title as a team. Obviously, their goal remains to be one of the best teams in the country. And then for individuals, they want to get their hand raised on Saturday night. And so, when you encounter a little bit of that defeat, I think guys leave there knowing that you always can do better. Unless you're winning it as an individual or as a team. I think we got guys that are that competitive. I know our coaches. We wake up every day with that mentality. We go to work with that mentality. So if it's not happening, I don't think it was a disappointment as much as like knowing that we're not far off from it, and what do we got to do to get better to get there as a team and individual? Because I think that's the ultimate goal in our sport at the college level is to win NCAAs, and we want to make that happen here. We know we got a lot of people helping us, pushing to get us in position for that. And our guys have bought in, and the work ethic and the mentality's there. And we got to show up and make it happen. And we got the group incoming guys to do it. We got the returners to do it. And we're going to keep plugging away day by day.
Outside of those 6:30 a.m. COVID tests, did you notice anything different? Did you guys feel like it was just a normal tournament and you guys were able to just concentrate on wrestling?
Yeah, it was, we've been, the fortunate thing with that is we've been dealing with it all year. It was a little over the top with the amount of tests we did that. I think we tested 6 times in 7 days prior to leaving, getting there. But yeah, the 6:30 COVID testing protocol was in high demand. No, I think once we got there and competition started, I think it was tunnel vision. Everyone was in shape. The wrestling was really good. It felt like it was an arena that was filled with people, even though it wasn't. It still was loud, and the intensity was as high as ever. So we didn't miss a beat with that. It looked like the coverage was pretty good too, from what everyone said, and even our SID people got a lot of good feedback from whoever was doing
I was going to say, whoever was there doing social media, fantastic job.
And you had time to go eat.
I don't think I saw you while I was there.
No, well, I mean, between the COVID and the times that we had to be in the arena, that was the only, I guess, tough part is we were there from 7 a.m. to probably 11 at night, and those make for long days. As we all know, the NCAA tournament is an emotional roller coaster. So, yeah, there wasn't much time to go out to dinner. In the hospitality room, you would have been happy to know it was just chips and salsa.
Keeping you guys,
and
coaches,
cold coffee.
Thin and lean.
Yep.
I don't think it's controversial, but wanted to ask you, pins. We saw kind of two questionable calls. Reenan against Iowa in the first round, and then Tariq against Iowa was at the semifinals, I believe. You cannot throw the brick for a pin. Is that correct?
Yeah, you can't challenge a fall.
No, either way.
And you can challenge an illegal hold. So by default, if you think maybe your wrestler was put in an illegal headlock and got a pin or a move that got him there before the fall, but an actual pin you can't challenge. So, yeah, it is what it is at that. Don't, as we say in the sport of wrestling, don't go to your back if you don't want to get pinned. But I still think if you go to your back, ref should call a fall. So we're caught at both. We're in a pickle here.
You already mentioned recruiting, but your biggest recruiting job was after the season, recruiting seniors to come back.
Dead period. Who said we were in a dead period?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
I was all over Raleigh for a week.
I mean, usually you leave NCAAs, you're hitting these guys up for donations as soon as they get off that bus. But now you're hitting them up to come back.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about each individual here in a second. But as a group, it's not as easy as saying, hey, do you want to come back, yes or no? There's a lot of factors going in.
Yeah.
Maybe go on the NC State wrestling side. How is it to get these guys back in maybe not in terms of money, but just in terms of numbers and the logistics of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of moving components to it, where kids are academically, what they're looking for in their career, some things going on in people's personal lives that they're just ready to move on and start the next phase of their life. So you have to respect all factors. The fortunate part for us is I think a lot of those guys still had a need and a love to compete at the college level and stay aggressive and hungry for accomplishing their goals. And what I loved about these guys coming back is I want to help NC State athletics. Yes, it falls under wrestling, but they enjoy NC State athletics so much that I think in the fan base here that we've created, those guys see that. And I think with all those factors moving, they know this could be a really fun, special year for these guys. And I think last year, not having fans in Reynolds, these guys want to go out with that crowd, like that energy and having that support. So we're hopeful and looking forward to next year being able to pack Reynolds in and send these guys off.
I think we'll start with, like you said, one guy kind of moving on. He got married, moving back to Georgia, got a full-time job. But talk about Daniel Buller at 174 this year. ACC champion, All-American. That is a heck of a finish to your career.
Yeah, I think timing was perfect for him. He wrestled the best he could that month with the results that he was putting up. He looked focused, sharp. And I think it was a good time for him. He accomplished his goals, and obviously his personal life. He's ready for that next journey in his life, and it was a good time because he did a lot for NC State athletics in our wrestling program, his leadership, and him and his brother together were a good duo for our program. So, yeah, it was good. His name forever will be on our wall, winning the ACCs and being an All-American, putting his picture up right next to Gwiz and Mock up there. Excited for that one.
You mentioned we've gone back-to-back Bullard so many years. One Bullard is returning. Thomas Bullard will be back. You alluded to it during the season, but not a lot of people know. He was really hurt. I shouldn't say really hurt. He missed a lot of time before the beginning of the season. May not have recovered fully, but the grinder of 165 was incredible, but how does he help coming back to your program?
Yeah, I think being healthy 100% helps him in the style and the way he wants to wrestle. And I think when you look at 165 and the kids that he encountered, every guy was really good. There was no, inexperienced wrestlers that he got to see. So we never really got to work and get things moving as far as confidence and in rhythm with him. But I thought, he was able to put together a pretty solid ACC tournament and went out and competed pretty hard at the NCAAs. And, for him, the goal is to get on the podium, whether it's 1st to 8th. We were expecting, at this point in his career to be there. And I think when that didn't happen, he knows he left some of that off the table, and that's a big reason why he probably wants to come back and accomplish his goals before he leaves and moves on from NC State.
Another guy coming back, part of that senior class. And by the way, 4 guys from that 2016 #1 recruiting class, they're all coming back. That's who we're talking about here. Nick Reenan, 3 times to the NCAAs, 3 different weight classes, 74, 84, 97. Decided to come back, one final go. Where do you see Reenan next year?
I don't think he'll be at 197. I think it was one of those where he was obviously doing some things to help us get to where we wanted to be with our lineup. I think that speaks to where he's at. He has jumped to 3 different weights, so he's been a team player. I think it's finally the first time in a long time his body and his mind have been healthy, and we're starting to see some really good wrestling out of him. And it'll be interesting to see. We got to let time play out, or who will be at what weights and whatnot. But he'll be a factor here at NC State, and just great to have around. And going to focus a lot on freestyle. He's going to be going out to the open, wrestling both freestyle and Greco. So right now our goal with these guys is just let's get better at wrestling. We'll figure out who's going to be where. But I just want guys like that here helping our program get better.
That's a great tease because everybody's going to be thinking heavyweight. So.
Good. Who knows? Even though I see him, he looks pretty lean. He looks about as lean as you are right now.
Yeah, it's hard to work out when you keep texting me to do stuff for you. But okay, Mr. March, Tariq Wilson, another great run, another 3rd place finish. Different weight. He announced he's coming back, maybe a different weight class next year too. But how fun was it to watch Tariq's run this year, and just sets up for hopefully something really special this last season?
Yeah, I finally got to see Tariq the Freak come out. We saw that freshman year.
Missed him on the dance cam. He was a little upset about that.
That's how it happens. And then, he got back into his rhythm here postseason, and that's when we see that, that's fun to watch. And he can light up the scoreboard, and I think that's what people are looking for when they want to watch someone from NC State wrestle, is a guy go out there, put it on the line, not hold anything back, and he was able to do that. And the big part with that is I think he knows where he stands as far as being able to compete to win a national title. On any given day, he's going to be able to do that no matter what weight it is, 41 or 49. And that was a big one for us when it came to recruiting and getting him back, because there was a lot of unknown. I think, certain times of the year, guys were like, I'm dead set on either doing A or B, and that was not the thing with Tariq. I think, we had to let some time, let the dust settle a little bit, and I think he sees what he can do for this team and what he can do for himself by coming back next year. On top of getting a master's, there's a lot of good academics for these guys too that they're gonna benefit from.
You can never read Tariq. You never know what he's thinking.
No,
sometimes.
You can't. You can only see.
Another guy announced on this podcast, Hayden Heidi. And for those that haven't listened, go back, listen to Hayden on the podcast. He was very open and just very blunt about his NC State career. Pat, by far the most listened to podcast we've ever had. I think that's because you weren't on it.
Probably. Okay. That or you weren't cracking jokes.
Well, here's the thing. Well, I don't invite you on the podcast. You get mad at me, and when I do.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah. I can show people the text from yesterday about.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you were still on vacation.
Hayden Heidi coming back, and now he's going up a couple weight classes. Obviously, just like Tariq, just like Reenan, just like Bullard, another guy you need in your room. How big was it for Hayden to commit, and how different will it be not seeing him at 57 next year? Yeah,
I mean, all these guys are a big piece of the puzzle. I think when you look at the leadership that Hayden brings to the table, I think that's extremely valuable. And then on top of that, his brother Trent, those guys are very close and tight, and they want to help each other in their journey. Both accomplish their goals, and I think it's going to be a good dynamic. When you listen to his podcast, you can tell how disciplined and challenging it was for him to stay down at 157, and he did a phenomenal job with it. Never once didn't interfere with his day-to-day or his attitude. And he's a workhorse. He followed through in everything he said he was going to do. And, you have your letdowns of when you go out to compete. I think he was zoned in on winning a national title, and that didn't happen that weekend. But I think he's one of those kids in any given weekend, he's good enough to get the job done. And it's going to give him another opportunity to put it on the line, go out and compete in a little different setting as far as training goes, weight class, and just our approach. We're going to take a little different approach with these 6-year senior guys. It's a lot to wrestle in college for 6 years. It's a lot on the body.
Well, I was just going to say, like Shaq says, 24, 8, 18.
Yes.
These guys are in their 6 years. We might not be seeing them in every single duel like they have been all the time.
And nor do they need to be. We have a lot of really good young talent that we got to develop as well. So we're going to balance that out next year. But when it matters and we got to go full throttle, as Hayden and Trent will say, we'll be ready to roll with a lot of horsepower that can score points at the NCAA tournament. And it's going to be a little different as we get through this off season. I think next year's dual season is going to look a little different. You're going to see a lot of different faces in our lineup, but we'll know that when needed, we're going to have a lot of experience and a lot of point scorers for us.
As the NCAA said, is the season going back to normal?
No one said anything, but I can tell you people are pushing right now to start wrestling in November. I'm going to focus on what's going to make NC State better and do what's best for our team. And if that's a shortened season, that's what we'll do. When I say shortened, just probably spread out with duels later on in the semesters. Less duels early, more tournaments for the guys to develop.
Wolfpack Open.
We'll be hitting that Wolfpack Open for you. So that, and then being able with the new incoming guys coming through, we'll be in a really good spot.
Will there be a Redshirt season and Redshirt Open tournaments?
I would imagine there's going to be, from everything that I'm seeing. I think time will tell for sure. That's the thing, get into doing the scheduling like we did last year just to find out you got to redo it last minute. So we're trying to map some things out, being patient with it, and hopefully everyone else working with us on scheduling can do the same. But yeah, those guys last year missed it. They got some matches in. So a lot of those guys need to get out, and they need to wrestle as many matches as we can get them into.
And they got some extra matches, but they weren't at a tournament getting 4 or 5 in
Correct.
a weekend.
I think you go and look at our roster, we're anywhere from like 12 to 4 matches, depending on the guy. So what we're going to make sure, as we say, this year's freshman class and the one coming in, they're going to be treated like true freshmen again.
All right. They'll be looking forward to hearing that.
Oh, yeah. They'll be complaining. I can't wait to hear.
Preseason.
Oh, I'm not there. They'll be getting 40 matches in when Ryan Jack's complaining to me that he wrestled 40 matches.
Not to name names or anything. Academic-wise, breaking news. I told you yesterday. You didn't reply to the text, but
I gave it a thumbs up.
I don't know how to do that. So 6 guys in ACC best, 6 from your NC State squad, have been named to the All-ACC academic team. Camacho, Bullard.
You want me to pull up the text?
No. Hayden,
Trombley.
Trent, Trombley, and Trumbull.
Yes.
So there you go. There's your 6. But obviously everybody dealt with the weirdness of the academic year this year. But you guys, once again, led the ACC with academic selections. How proud of you guys, not just of those 6, but as a team overall, coming together and still getting the work done in the classroom?
Yeah, it's a big, huge focus for us here at NC State, and the guys take a lot of pride in it. They've done a phenomenal job. Timmy, Adam, Donnie, and Aaron, with our academic advisor who oversees wrestling, they are on top of everything we're doing. The guys get a ton of support. So our standard remains extremely high. And it's easy to accomplish that when you have extremely motivated guys who, can see past tomorrow. These guys are looking, what does my future hold? And let me get my undergrad degree done, and let me get my master's started, and let me make sure that I'm receiving all these awards on top of it. Great resume builders, and future leaders for whatever programs or careers they get into. They're going to do very, very well for themselves. And I think it starts with the foundation they built here at NC State. So, yeah, it's I think that's a lot of guys on a list. You look at our academic All-Americans over the years, too. We're growing that. And we expect that moving forward when we get into recruiting. I mean, that we make it very clear we're looking for student-athletes to excel here.
I think one thing going back, you mentioned all of the guys returning, and I know Hayden was already in a graduate program. How important was it for some of those other guys? Because they might not be going to grad school if they weren't coming back for their 6th season.
Yeah, it's. I think it's one. We wake up and you're like, hey, we got to get this done. We got to make sure. And when you have a good academic background, those guys, it's easy for those guys to get into a program. As far as stretching, sometimes with someone who maybe had a little letdown in their academics in their undergrad. That's not the case with these guys. So it makes it easy for them to make that jump into the next program they want to get into. And who wouldn't want these guys in there, you know, All-Americans with really good high GPAs. I think that it looks good for both parties.
I think that's all of the stuff for the current guys. RTC, obviously a great big weekend. A couple weeks ago down in Dallas, Texas, the Olympic team trials. You took 3 guys down there. Kind of the impressions of the Olympic team trials. It came up very fast after the NCAA Championships. So there wasn't much turnaround for you guys. How was it for the athletes?
It was good. I thought they did a great job. You know, it seemed like there was a lot of people there watching and attending. The wrestling part of it was really good. High level wrestling. You know, there was some of obviously the best guys in the world there competing. So being involved with that was really good for those guys. It seemed like there was a little disconnect on TVs and following it back home from the negative text you were giving me.
Well, here's the thing. I was never negative because I'm a huge soccer fan, so I've been with the Peacock for a while.
Yeah.
To me,
you got it figured out.
I figured it out. I try to relay it to our fans, but yeah.
No,
I mean,
you did a good job. But I think that was the only negative to it was being on 2 different station channels.
That was a little challenging. 2 different streams for 2 different maps.
Mats, yeah. But got it figured out, and then it was for those guys. I think they put a lot into it. You know, Tommy, Mock, and Nick. You go and you commit and put it on the line. You got to give them credit for, you know, doing everything they can to put themselves in position to go out and compete at this level. It's not easy. And unless you're the guy, it's a disappointing weekend. And there's only 6 people who get to represent the U.S. team. And that's not an easy task when you look at the weight classes and how many national champs there are, whether it's freestyle or folk style, how many world medals there were in each weight class, whether it was junior, senior, UW23. It was just, we have a lot of depth here in the U.S. now. So,
and I think you hear about it. The top 3 finishers make the U.S. national team.
Yes.
Nick obviously finished second. So what does that mean that you made the U.S. national team?
Well, you know, you're alongside that. You're training. You're obviously the number 2 guy. If God forbid something happened to anybody, you get called up, and it's happened before to other weight classes in years previous to that. But you get the experience of being on that team, training with the national teams, which he's been doing for the years, Mach 2 and Tommy. So they all have that experience. I think just when you get to an Olympic year and it shrinks down to 6 weights, it gets so deep. It's real competitive, and then we'll obviously go back to the 10 weights, and those guys' chances of making the team get a little better, having those 4 other weight classes in there. So, yeah, I think it's a good experience. You know, you want to be around the best people in the world, and the U.S. is that. So it's good for them. It's good for our program. It's good for the people that have been backing our RTCs because their money's been going directly to this to help these guys accomplish their goals and dreams.
And this is kind of a different year. You have your Olympics, which was postponed, but there's still going to be World Championships after the Olympics.
Yes.
So these guys are still going to have a very busy, very important summer.
Yeah, and it really is. You're going to jump from the Olympics right into the Worlds. It's a very unique situation going on here. But those guys got to be ready to go, and it really is. If you had a letdown and you didn't feel like you got what you wanted out of this past trials, you have short time and hopefully short memory of that to go back out, stay motivated, and let's go get a world gold medal. Let's make a team. If we haven't done that yet, let's get guys on the team and let's go get medals.
any discussion about Maxweight for the World Championships? He had to bump up to 97 because 92 was not an Olympic weight.
We're still in limbo with that, but I think the bigger thing is going to come down to the way that they have it written in the bylaws of the USA Wrestling. If someone at that weight medals, they're automatically the world team member at that weight. So by default, you might have to pick a different weight class. If Snyder medals at that weight and he elects to come back and wrestle in the World Championships, he's going to be the guy at that weight. So, that's going to push guys to make that decision on their own.
Pat, power-packed episode. Hopefully our Japanese fans appreciated our efforts.
Can you say that one more time?
Konnichiwa. I like it.
They're good at that.
Actually, I was looking at a program to put in a whole sentence and it would transcribe on my computer, but I never got
Google Translate for you if you need to.
Yeah, but Pat, great catching up. Obviously, with wrestling, it's a busy time of year. Every time is busy.
Yes.
But it would be great to see some of your guys in action here in early May, and it's going to feel like you're just going to roll right into this off season, and before you know it, the next season's going to be here for NC State Wrestling.
Yeah, we're a few months out. Good training, and then back to school, getting back in a routine.
Want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering all things NC State Wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack Wrestling fans, go Pack.
The Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.